Welcome to another episode of Comedy Wham Presents with me, your host Valerie, coming to you from Moontower 2018. ComedyWham.com is your place to go for features about all Austin comedy and those passing through Austin. We bring you articles and podcasts featuring the best in Austin comedy in all its shapes and formats. Started in 2016, the podcast project brings you funny people and their stories. As a fan, I like to delve into a comic's background and motivations, and will usually take a detour along the way. Consider the interview a way for you to get to know the folks that make the Austin comedy scene one of the best in the country. Today, I'm so thrilled to welcome back someone who's had just an incredible year since I sat down with him during last year's Moontower. Let's first congratulate him on getting married, and we'll follow up with a litany of credits he's racked up over the last year. He continues to be part of The Wave for Roast Battle, the supporting cast of the Goddamn Comedy Jam, and the band leader for Kill Tony. And he's been consistently selling out his showcase Standup on the Spot. I was lucky enough to catch his band leader role on Kill Tony earlier this year, and it was great to continue to see how multi-talented he is. Earlier this year, he kicked off a new podcast, which brings his voice of kindness in what is often a tough industry. He's introduced me to a lot of new names in the comedy world, and it's got some great benchmarks, including Sax Talk. Listen for yourself to appreciate this gem. Actually, I'm guessing I've probably left off some of his credits. Oh my gosh, I thought I was busy. And now Comedy Wham presents a welcoming guest, Jeremiah Watkins.
Hello, thank you for having me back on the program.
What's funny is, we were talking before we hit record that you just basically rolled out of bed.
Yes.
And so your energy might be a little low right now.
It's probably going to skyrocket throughout this podcast. Like, we're starting out mellow, and then by the end I'll be talking really fast, and I'll be like all wound up and ready to go. But
which is similar to last year, where you were like surviving on really low sleep because you traveled, like you had a super early flight or something.
Yeah.
Was happening like that.
We're making it a tradition on the show.
Yeah. Next year we'll try to slate this for like maybe after the last Comedy Jam, where you're like, well, hello, and then you fall asleep.
Hi, Valerie. So good to be on the show.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. So I don't know if you remember last year. Usually I start off with an icebreaker. I didn't even do my research because I know with the time that we have, there's so much to catch up on about your last year that because this is your Volume 2 interview, we're just going to talk about what an incredible year you've had, and if you've reflected on what an incredible year you've had.
Yeah, I have definitely reflected on this last year. I'm super grateful for a lot of things that have been going on. It's kind of a weird thing from people who I haven't talked to in a while. They'll see me and they'll say things to me like, "You've really been killing it lately," and it's kind of hard for me to look at it like that because I'm in it, but I try to reflect and be grateful for what's going on, but I also never really want to be like, "Oh yeah, I am." So I'm trying to stay, like I always try to stay grounded and just like go from project to project. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, this career is a long game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you never know where it might take you, but it certainly seems by observing what I've observed that there's been a lot of like things clicking into place over the.
Yeah, I've had my hands in a lot of different projects for a while now, and whenever things started to kind of slowly start to happen is whenever I was at peace at things not happening immediately and me just like being cool with just doing things creatively that I loved, and then organically it slowly started like things started shifting and slipping into place, and as the years go on I'm becoming a better performer as well, so as shows start becoming more popular and I start becoming a little bit more dialed in, like it really starts coming together slowly.
Yeah. So just as my own background, I first saw you here at Moontower as mosh pit for the Goddamn Comedy Jam.
Yeah.
And that was 3
Mosh
years
pit.
ago. Yeah. And then 2 years ago, then last year, again, seeing you as the supporting the mosh pit for the goddamn Comedy Jam.
Mm-hmm.
And then earlier this year, was lucky enough to be in LA to go catch you at Kill Tony. And I think that's where my excitement as a fan, because I'm like, and I saw you at the roast battle when you came through. That was, I guess, two summers ago now. So, I feel like I've been really lucky to see you in these different formats. But
you've seen a lot. You've seen me do a lot of different of the shows that I do, which is really cool.
Yeah, and the bingo card finally happened for me last night. I was really, really bummed that my schedule didn't let me come see stand-up on the spot. Like I think that may be the last item on my bingo card of Jeremiah shows to see. But getting to watch you do just a set as you yourself, not supporting cast member, was just like, oh my God, everything really is. Like all of the things that have been happening make perfect sense. To me, you were the standout performer on last night's set. It was the 7 Deadly Sins, where you reach into a box and you're supposed to improv based on an object that is based on one of the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
And to me, what was really great to see as a fan was you actually didn't talk that much. It was all physical comedy, which is, I think that's your strength. And it was just like, that is, what a skill. What a skill.
That was a fun show. Yeah. I didn't know if management got really upset with me or not, but
I almost regretted sitting in the front row, but it worked out. I wear glasses, so.
I to fill this audience in on what happened last night. So I drew greed, that sin, out of this box, and it was like this big jar that had money in it. It had like dollar bills, $5 bills, and it said greed on it, so right away I started taking money out of it because I was like, well, if I'm greedy, I'm going to want to get that money in my pocket. So then there was a $1 bill that was stuck in the glass, and throughout the entire set, I was literally just trying to get that dollar out. And I addressed it like at first like it was a joke for me, but like it was starting to genuinely frustrate me that I couldn't get this $1 bill out. And I asked the audience, I was like, should I break this? Should I break this glass right now? And the audience, of course, is like, yeah, because the audience is never going to be like, no, Jeremiah, that's not sensible. Somebody could get hurt or something. And I was like, is management going to be mad at me? And I think the same people were like, no, it's okay. And I'm high off of like the adrenaline. Yeah. So they're like, I'm going to do it. And I just like grabbed this jar and I smashed it on the stool and glass flew everywhere. And I got the dollar and that's how I closed my set. And then I walked off stage with glass everywhere.
But okay, so I mean, comedically, that was a great performance. But I alluded to it. One of the things that you've done with your podcast, Jeremiah Wonders, is you give a lot of attention to let's be kind to one another, let's do kind gestures from one another, and it's so telling of your personality that you asked for permission, you checked in with management, but then the bonus. You came in with the little sweeper broom.
Oh, yeah.
When Jessie May was up, introducing
She's like, there's glass everywhere. How is the rest of the show supposed to go on? And I saw that a waitress was coming to, she was about to clean up my mess. I was like, I don't want her to clean up my freaking, all the glasses everywhere. I was like, ugh. I grabbed it from her and I swept it up and then, yeah.
But in this industry, you can perfectly imagine that there are some people in the industry who would have been like, well, I did my thing. I got the audience laughing. Bye.
Right.
And that's just not you, which is, part of what makes you so unique and, great. Is there any one thing in particular that you feel you've, excuse my language, where you've grown the most as a performer?
I think that there's just a little bit more of, like, people talk about in stand-up finding your voice and how hard that is, which it is 100%. Like, and just figuring out how you can be the you that's off stage, on stage. And I think that that's something that has definitely slowly been happening. It's been way easier for me with shows like Kill Tony and Stand Up on the Spot that specifically force me to improvise and be in the moment and be comfortable with just either being myself or being characters or versions of myself. So that parallels with my stand-up. I think that my stand-up has I've gotten way more comfortable with just being Jeremiah on stage and embracing like who I am there and not playing like a weird robotic version of myself, which I'll look back at tapes from years before and I'm like, oh, I see like what I'm trying to do as myself, but it's just not quite there yet. And I think the stand-up has probably been something that has probably grown for me, just like confidence-wise and just being myself, comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah. With the Jeremiah Wonders podcast, it feels to me, and I'm flipping my paper to remember your first podcast, which was a long-running
The Building
podcast.
Years.
Yeah, that one was literally about you building up your career.
Yeah.
That ran into the hundreds of episodes, right?
Yeah, we did it for years. Yeah.
So for people that are going out to LA, there are many lessons, and you've made that available. You've continued to make that available. If you subscribe to Jeremiah Wonders, you can actually get to the catalog.
Yeah, I really
those.
like that I was able to keep the same feed, so it's all in one place. So if people end up liking Jeremiah Wonders and they're curious about what I was doing years ago, they can literally scroll down and go pretty far back, like at least several years before this podcast started. So
the Building Years is almost like if I'm going to rank it, it's the beginning class of
sure.
the career.
Yeah.
And now Jeremiah Wonders is more of the advanced class, and maybe your third iteration will be the intermediate course. What are you trying to learn by having the Jeremiah Wonders podcast, your advanced course?
I think it's a challenge for me to connect to people and just get better at things that I want to get better at, and what people have told me that they enjoy seeing or hearing from me. So I really like being able to showcase characters and impressions on there and doing musical kind of things, because that's basically, like, anybody who's a fan of Kill Tony, they like the characters that I do on that show. And I have sax on that show, so I was like, how can I incorporate like these things and kind of make my own little variety show? So it's really just a challenge to push myself creatively and also work with people in a different capacity, because there's people who do my podcast, Jeremiah Wonders, who I get to do characters and improvise with, who, as far as stand-up goes, you don't get to have those experiences with people. You'll riff with people in a parking lot or in the back of the comedy club or whatever. But to be able to sit down and like do improv with them and get a taste for their sensibilities in a completely different setting, I love it. Like it's such like a good feeling, and we kind of leave the podcast feeling like, we like did something. It's very unique, and an observation as somebody who's now listened from the first episode to, tell me, how many episodes have you done now? I think the 16th one is, I started January 1st. So,
it seems like you've really settled very quickly into your format and how it'll go. The benchmarks are hilarious. But despite the benchmarks and the formal bits, as a fan and somebody who's really into comedy, I feel like I learn a lot too, just from the career and how you deal with challenges and whatever. So it's like it operates on many different levels as a good podcast.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
You know, on the one hand, I love that you have local sponsors who support you.
Yeah.
And I know that as a fan of your career, it's going to be a bummer when I finally hear you say Blue Apron.
All right. No,
I mean, on the one hand, it'll be great for you, but
right.
on the other hand, it'll be like, oh man.
Yeah, I've been very lucky to have some cool people that are down to sponsor the show and help out. And yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, I had this guy, Thomas Schiffer, who he owns Gray Block Pizza in Santa Monica and Bronx-born Pizza in Bend, Oregon. He's like, I know you already have a pizza sponsor. I don't want to like piss off Joe or anything in LA. Like, so I'll sponsor you from my Oregon location. So there's not like a.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's a very good dude, and he ended up, very long story short, he basically was like, I really believe in you. I think that you should be doing video for your podcast. I think that it'll take this podcast to the next level and you to the next level, and that you deserve this, and I'm going to buy you equipment to make that happen.
How awesome.
And it was, I mean, I like, he bought me like a laptop, lights, like recording equipment, like for vocal effects, and it's like the first video episode will come out next week with Johnny Pemberton. So
sweet.
Yeah,
sweet.
so I'm very excited to start growing that. It's a lot more time, but it's going to be worth it. It's gonna be something pretty special. So
yeah, because what I've noticed when you go into the character portions, I do wonder, what are the looks that they're giving each other how that works.
Well, it's so funny. Like, I think some people are trying to keep it together the whole time.
Yeah.
And then I was actually surprised with Johnny Pemberton, because he gave me hardly anything the whole time. He was just staying in the characters. He was just like looking at me, doing these ridiculous things, and I'm the one who's like almost like breaking the entire time. So everybody's different. So I think it'll be fun for people to see behind the curtain, if you will.
Yeah. So I'm going to make a visual representation, because I don't know that I've ever done this, but I want to say that you are wearing a shirt of the Paramount Story Wranglers.
Oh yeah.
Which it was a Moontower show where they take third graders' short stories, and you were part of a team of people who reenacted the stories on stage, and you were a pregnant plum at one point.
Yes.
And can't remember your other characters, but it speaks to the diversity of the things that you are willing to try. And then you're also wearing your Regan and Watkins cap. And you just got through recording an album.
Yes.
This past weekend.
Yes. And we are almost done. We've got a couple more trips to the studio, but I'm so excited for people to hear that. We did it properly, where we linked up with some producers that I knew that were willing to help us out and give us a little bit better rate than other people, but it's a professional studio, and it's going to sound like it. It's going to make a huge difference from just legitimacy. Like, I mean, you'll listen to friends' projects, or you'll watch them sometimes, and you're like, oh, this is like not quite professional. You can tell right away, and we wanted to spend the money, and we wanted to take the extra time to make it sound really awesome. And I think that I'm hoping that some people will walk away saying that some of the tracks are epic. So we'll see.
And what is the premise of the album?
So it's I don't think you've seen us live before.
No, I have not.
But so
I guess I have more to add to my bingo card.
we're a live comedy music duo. So we've got some parody songs, but it's mostly originals, and It's kind of a concept album where it's like we're kind of parodying. We like to parody genres of music. So it's going to be a classic album, comedy album where we have our music tracks, and then there's going to be sketches in between. So there should be around 21 tracks on the album.
Okay.
So it's a full throwback like comedy album where it's like, oh, you get a little bit of everything on there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So you started recording last weekend, and you just have a couple more trips into the studio?
Yeah, we're going to have to go a couple more times because everything takes a little bit longer.
But isn't that epic still, that you're going to be able to turn it around that quickly? I mean, that just sounds like phenomenally fast.
Yeah, I mean, it'll take a while for them to mix it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as like laying down the recordings, like, yeah, I mean, we're recording it still. Like, we're making good time on it because we have. Also, for this album, we have a full band. Like we have, it's not just he and I. Like, and that's where I think that some of those tracks, I'm hoping, will have that epic feel to it. Like, we've always been huge fans of like Tenacious D, and we're hoping that eventually we can get to that level where it's like you listen to it and you're just like blown away. You're like, this is a comedy song. This is awesome. We have a lead guitarist. Joel Rakowski from the Goddamn Comedy Jam, and Nick Liberatore drummed on it, as well as our buddy Joel Jimenez, Joelberg from Kill Tony, and Chroma Chris, the bassist from Kill Tony. So we had this kind of community project of musicians help make this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So as we were talking, you were describing this project. I was thinking, oh man, you are a favorite, I think, of Moontower, because last month I interviewed Lisa Brass, who's the producer of the festival, and she brought up your name, even without me prompting. So I'm not the only big fan of yours. As you were talking, I'm like, Jeremiah, you should start like a whole branch of Moontower where it's just the musical arm, and you could bring Regan and Watkins. And I was watching I caught a show with Todd Barry last night, and I feel bad I forgot his name, but there was a guy who was playing guitar, and he was doing these original songs, and they were hilarious. So you could start that branch, because they really started focusing on the podcasts last year and again this year. So it's like, Jeremiah, start this.
No, that'd be fun. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and all, of course, anchored by the Goddamn Comedy Jam.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered the podcast, your upcoming album.
Yeah, with my boy Patty Regan. Yeah.
What else can we cover? What's on the horizon for you? Where do you? Okay, when we sit down next year and you're dog tired, for the 5 minutes that I can get you awake, what are we going to be talking about?
I'm pitching a show right now with Josh Edemeyers and Avery Pearson, and I'm hoping that by this time next year we will have sold it to somebody and be working on it. And then also there's I'm always sending in tapes, and I'm always trying to get my audition for Saturday Night Live or a show that's equivalent to that. So maybe some prospects on that. But I really believe in what we're doing with Kill Tony, because I get to Tony Hinchcliffe is really cool, and Brian Redband is really cool about letting me creatively do whatever I want with characters. So it's becoming this weird podcast / sketch show / musical variety show. Like, it's like this becoming this genre that I don't think has existed yet, which I really enjoy, that we're like kind of at the forefront of this like weird new genre of podcast comedy. Yeah. So hopefully that will be, maybe that will be the thing that becomes a show, that sells somewhere or something like that. But I think that you can expect for me to be still tired and me to be trying to do as much as humanly possible still. So whatever it is, I think I'll be passionate about it and hopefully still happy.
Yeah, it almost seems like, because you've done such a wide variety. I know last year, I'm glad you brought up the Saturday Night Live, because that was something that came up last year.
Sure, yeah.
I almost think that would constrain you.
That's the only thing. That's what's interesting is like right now I'm able to do a lot of different cool things, and if I did something like that, it would definitely like limit the amount of the span of like the range of things that I'm able to do. But on the other hand, it's it's been a dream since childhood.
Yeah.
But things shift and everything. There might be, like I don't know. We never know like what's on the horizon for ourselves entirely. So, Kill Tony or one of these other projects or something that I haven't even created yet could be my thing that I'm like, oh, this is the thing that I've been like working towards that doesn't even exist yet. So.
Yeah, that's true. Oh my gosh, so exciting.
Yeah.
I want to give some feedback as a fan of the Kill Tony, because I had not listened to the podcast. I knew that there was the incident at last year's Moontower that people should go and do their own homework to find, and I wonders why Kill Tony didn't come back this year, because I know you guys travel all over the country.
Yeah,
or
actually,
you're doing more of that now.
Yeah, I don't. It ended up working out that we didn't come back because Tony ended up opening for Joe Rogan for his Netflix taping. But Tony didn't know that until 2 weeks before, and he definitely wanted us to come back to Moontower. It just didn't work out scheduling-wise. So hopefully we'll be back next year.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't listened to the podcast. I watched the video of last year's, and when I saw it live for myself, I'm like, oh my God, what an amazing concept. But I'm wondering, can I actually listen to the podcast and get as much out of it by just missing the whole visual element? And I was really, really surprised that while the visual, being able to see it live is the ideal.
Yeah.
Listening to it, I was really surprised, because I think people have this perception that Tony is a total dick, right?
Sure.
I mean, that's kind of a vibe that he puts out there. But what I found really surprising when I was listening to the podcast, I'm like, anybody who's starting out in stand-up, he's teaching people how to be better stand-ups.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, that's the complete opposite of an asshole.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, I was really surprised
he really cares, yeah.
Yeah, it was how, there's this sense you get when you're watching the live show, but then if you actually just listen without the variety show that's happening, in front of your face, it's really instructive. So it's kind of cool to get that realization.
No, definitely. Yeah, he definitely has, he has the persona of being somebody who's a dick, like you said.
Well, I said asshole.
Oh, you
Jeremiah.
said? Okay, sorry. Sorry to dot the I's, cross the T's. But he's one of my best friends, and he has been so good to me and been as far as someone who's like believed in me and has really like helped me grow as a comedian. Yeah. I mean, I went on tour with him in the fall for he had this Monster Energy drink tour where we hit like over 20 cities like in like a little over a month.
Yeah.
And I grew so much as a stand-up just in that short period of time, and he's always been super supportive of me creatively doing exactly what I want. So he's very, very good and very nice to the people who he loves. So I have nothing but good things to say about Tony. Yeah.
So anybody who's reluctant because they think that Tony is this figure, give it a listen and you'll change your tune.
Yeah.
And then you can hear all of your characters on there too.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're going to start winding down. Is there anything else that you want to make sure that we cover, that we tell the people about Jeremiah?
We did an episode of Crashing on HBO with the Wave and Roast Battle, that was such a cool experience.
You were on the season finale.
We were on the season finale, yeah. So check that out.
Yeah.
And that was a crazy thing that happened where it aligned, where Tony and I were on tour together. And I hadn't even told him yet, and I didn't know what to do. But I got an email from my manager saying that I might be booked on Crashing, and Tony, while we're driving, randomly says, "Hey man, I just got this email. We might have to cancel one of the dates." I go, "Oh, really? Why?" And I was like, "When?" And he's like, "It's this weekend." And it was the same weekend. And he goes, "I might have just booked a role on Crashing." I go, "Dude, what?" I go, "I just got an email and I wanted to wait it out until I heard, but like, and then it worked out perfectly. While we were on the East Coast leg of our tour, we did Crashing, had to cancel a couple East Coast dates, but then we did our New York date at the Gramercy Theater right after we filmed Crashing in New York. So it was like this perfect alignment.
Yeah.
Wow. It was amazing.
Wow, very cool. Now, I will put in a pitch, because I know you guys brought Kill Tony to Dallas and you brought it to Houston
Yes.
in the last month or two. So hopefully you'll come back for an Austin Kill Tony.
I hope so. We're going to Fort Worth in the fall.
Oh yeah, I might. My parents or my mom lives up there, so I might take a road
All
trip just to
right.
come see Kill Tony.
Yeah.
That'll be a really interesting audience too, because it's such a so conservative and different up there.
Oh yeah, it'll be different
But-
for sure.
Yeah. All right. Very cool. Well, that is a wrap on Comedy Wham Presents. Jeremiah Watkins, tell us where we can find you on social media. Let us know about all of the projects that we should check you out for.
Sure. Check me out on social media at Jeremiah Standup on Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. JeremiahWatkins.tv is my website, or .com if you're old school, you prefer that. And check out Jeremiah Wonders. I'm really excited about my podcast that I've been doing, and we've been doing this really cool thing that Valerie kind of alluded to called the Kindness Challenge. It's been really rewarding for me personally as a person, and just hearing the impact that it's slowly been having on the people who've been listening to the podcast and sending me in stories of them doing random acts of kindness to strangers or people that they know. So yeah, check that out. It's cool.
Kindness Challenge. It's worth it. Good karma. Good karma. All right. We hope you've enjoyed learning about how Jeremiah got to be the comedic genius you heard today, just as much as I have. Be sure to visit ComedyWham.com, give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at ComedyWham, and like our Facebook page. You can listen to past interviews on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. Review us while you're at it. That is a wrap on Comedy Wham Presents. Jeremiah Watkins. I'm Valerie, and that's been funny. Thank you, Jeremiah.
Thanks for having me, Valerie.